Hi, Luce.
Hi, Han.
Great to see you today.
Great to see you too. It's really a pleasure to talk to you today.
The pleasure is mine. So, today my guest is Luce Brotcorne. She's a senior research scientist at INRIA in Lille, France, and she's also the leader of the INOCS research project team, which works on the modeling and development of solution methods for optimization problems with complex structure. Luce has been working on the optimization of transportation systems for more than 25 years and in the energy domain for more than 10 years. Her interests include the study of bilevel pricing problems, equilibrium problems, and stochastic optimization. She's co-author of more than 25 scientific papers or book chapters and has given more than 70 presentations in national and international conferences. She's the vice president of the Euro Working Group in Pricing and Revenue Management and an associate editor for the International Transactions in Operational Research. Luce has supervised more than 15 PhD students and postdocs and has been involved in several industrial projects. Luce, it's a great honor, as I just said, and I'm very happy that you have accepted the invitation. How are you?
Fine, thank you very much, and thank you for the invitation. It's really nice of you. Nice opportunity for me.
Great. So let's start. So you were born in August 1952 in Belgium, but
Yes,
from which part of the country?
I am from a small village in Belgium, from the province of Hainaut, so the French-speaking part of Belgium. And so I was born in a small village, Ormeny, not far from the city At. So it's located at about 60 kilometers from Brussels.
Okay.
In the south of Brussels.
Okay, so not very far from the capital. Okay.
No, not far.
Mm-hmm. And what did your parents do for a living?
So my father was working in a bank and in Brussels, and my mother was working in a small company as an accountant not far from At.
Right.
They are retired.
Okay. Do you have brothers or sisters?
Yes, I have one brother. His name is Pascal, and he's 2 years and a half younger than me.
Okay. So did you always study in Normandy before joining university?
No. In fact, I studied in Normandy up to my 12 years old, and then I went to At to study in the college. So in Belgium, after 12 years, you are going to a college, and I spent 6 years in the Collège Saint-Julien in At, and I studied Latin and mathematics.
Oh, interesting. So how did you spend your time in Normandy and At while growing up?
In fact, I always like to study and to read some books, some comics, and but at that time I was a little bit shy, and so I had not a lot of activities with friends. I had some friends, but very few friends, few number of friends. And I also like to work for school, and also to read more about history or about geography. I was interested in learning more information about history. In fact, also.
Right. So you prefer to be on your own
I prefer to be
younger?
on my own, and as I mentioned to you, I was a little bit shy, so it was difficult for me to go and talk to people.
But it seems that you exchanged letters with a Flemish girl during that period.
Yeah, I had the opportunity, because that in Belgium there are two parts, or in fact 3 parts: the French-speaking part, the Flemish-speaking part, and German-speaking part. And it was important that people speaking French learn to speak Flemish. So I had the opportunity to exchange some letters with a girl living in the Flemish-speaking part, and she was living in Tielt, and also I had the opportunity to visit her for 1 week, and she also visited me for 1 week. So it was not easy for me to go there in a family. I only had I received at that time there were no computers, so no visio. We were only exchanging some letters, so it was not the same as now. So it was really an adventure for me, but I enjoyed and I learned a lot.
Yeah, that's great. I know you like to run nowadays. Did you play any sports back then?
In fact, when I was in AT, I run. Okay, I was part of an athletic association. Okay, so it was leisure. Okay, it was. I made some competition, but it was really a leisure for me. But it was important for me because I was a lot in my books. I was reading a lot, working for the school, and it was important for me to run, to do sport, for the stress. Okay, and I'm still running nowadays. And also, when I was young, I always wanted to do some horse riding, but I had not the opportunity to do that. And now I can do it. And also, I have my own horse, and it's really nice. And I enjoy to ride my horse. It's really when I'm on my horse, I forget all my worries. Okay, from my work, from my family, and for during 1 hour I am on my horse with my horse. It's really important for me.
Yeah,
Conservation.
that should be very exciting, and to take a break from time to
Yeah.
time. Yeah, that's good. Um, so how this interest in sports impacted your career or even your life?
In fact, it's an equilibrium because I like my job. I like what I am doing. I am passionate by what I am doing. So when I have a, a problem to solve, it's always in my mind and trying to find a solution. But sometimes, you need to stop to do other things and to go back to the problem to get a solution. And so doing some sport is important because you can take a break and forget the problem, and also it's really important. And also sometimes when you have some deadlines and you have a lot of stress, it's important to evacuate the stress, and otherwise your body can feel really bad.
Yeah,
Okay, so it's
absolutely.
really an equilibrium, and it's really important.
Nice. Uh, do you see yourself as a competitive person?
Good question. um, I think so in a good sense, but when I do something, I want to reach some objectives, some goals. Okay, in my job, I want to reach some goals, but also when I'm running, for example, if I'm running 10 kilometers. I want to run in less than 55 minutes, and when I am doing some horse riding, so I want to pass not some proofs, okay, to some exams, just to show me that I can do it. So yes, maybe I am a competitor, but in a good sense.
Yeah, no problem. Uh, I understand that. It's part of the person's nature. So sometimes you can help it as long as you don't keep that as an unhealthy obsession, or you don't take to an extreme. Like for example, F1 drivers, Formula One drivers, they really have to be sometimes even selfish, or have to put a lot of effort to win at all costs. So it can be a bit unhealthy. Uh,
No. It's not my case. It's just because, sometimes when you are going outside to run, it's raining, and you say, "Oh no, I don't want to go out." But if you have some goal to reach, yes, you go out and you run. It's like that. It's
yeah.
for motivation.
Yeah, you have
Just
personal goals and you want to always improve, and
yeah,
that's nice.
yeah, and
Yeah. Yeah. So how did you pick your university degree? And how did you choose the university to start your higher studies?
But in fact, I've always been fond of mathematics. Okay, even when I was young, what I liked at school when I was really young, at 6 or 7, is to solve problems. It's just what I wanted to do is solve problems, so to study mathematics. And so that's why when I was at the college, I took a lot of options in maths, science, and because I like that. And after my college, I decided to study mathematics, so to make to do a master. So in Belgium, it's a licence, but it's 4 years, okay, and it's like a master study. And I had the choice. I just chose. I selected 2 university, either Louvain-la-Neuve or Namur, and finally I decided to go to Namur. This university had good reputation for mathematics and studies, and also it was a real city, okay, not a university city, for city. And for me, it was really important because when you are studying, sometimes you want to go out and walk in and see people, but real people, not all students, okay? Because when you have some exams, sometimes you want to take a break and go out and see normal people.
Yeah, I wanted to interact with the civilization.
Yeah.
Right. You used to be very shy, as you said, but in Namur things started to change.
Yeah, I think there were 2 important things. So the first one is when I went to Namur, because Namur is quite far from Ath. It's 100 kilometers far away from Ath. So I went to Namur for the week, and I came back to my parents' home during the weekend. So there, it was important for me to change, okay, and also I started to be part of some students association, and also I studied a lot, but also I like to go out and for some parties with all the friends. So yes, I started to change there, and I was not so shy, a little bit, still a little bit, but less shy, let's say. But I had some rules, so I like to go to parties and have fun with other friends. But my rule that even if I went very late to my bed to sleep, on the morning I go to the university to attend to the lesson. So that's my rule, and I succeeded to do it. So that's the first thing, and the other important thing in my life is that when I went to Montreal during my PhD. So these 2 events were really important and also changed me a lot.
Right. So you had these 2 game-changing moments, if you like, that really triggered this other persona of yours. Let's say, let's put it like that.
Yeah. But I'm still in my a little bit. I'm still shy, but less than before. Okay, so I'm improving.
Yeah. I was told you like to dance and you're very active nowadays. I mean, so should develop, for sure you developed social skills and things like that. So at that stage, did you have any idea about the career you wanted to pursue?
No, no, not at all. In fact, from the beginning, when I started to study mathematics, because I liked it, and also I knew that with mathematics you can have a lot of jobs. You can get a lot of jobs after that. So I started to study mathematics. Some people told me that to be a mathematics teacher could be nice for me, but I say, okay, maybe, let's see, okay. But after 2 years, in fact, also I liked also a lot of economics and computer science. And after 2 years of mathematics, I had the opportunity either to continue my master in mathematics or to do a master in economy or in computer science. And finally, I decided to continue mathematics. And after my master in mathematics, maybe study economics or computer science.
Right.
Because I had some computer science lessons during my studies and also a little bit of economy. But I prefer to study all the mathematics and then maybe in 2 years more I could have another diploma.
Mm.
But,
Okay. But how did you become interested in OR?
In fact, during my math study, I had some linear programming lessons. Okay, so I started to study OR, but it was only linear programming. Okay, also a lot of optimization lessons, but continuous optimization lessons, nonlinear optimization, convex optimizations, and so on. So it was not really OR, but it was related to optimizations.
Mm.
And so when I finished my master in Namur,
And what was your master's about, by the way?
My master was about the proximal method. So it was optimization for nonlinear optimization for maximal monotone operators. So
okay.
It was
theoretical work.
So it was more theoretical work. Okay. I liked it, and just it was a little the beginning of a research part, because I needed to extend some results from some particular case. So it was the beginning of the research part of my life. Okay, and I liked it. It happened that I liked it, and say, okay, so maybe I could make a PhD after my master. I started to think to that, but I say maybe I will, because as I am a little bit shy and not really, I'm not confident in myself. So I say maybe I am not as strong as strong enough to do it. So I was a little bit hesitating, but my professor told me, no, you can do that. You can succeed to do that. Of course, you should do it. Okay, and so I started to look at some opportunities to do a PhD, and in Namur it was not sure that I could have fundings. So another professor in Namur, so he's not professor, it was a researcher in Namur, Eric Cornelis, told me about an opportunity in the Université Libre de Bruxelles with Martine Labbé, about an opportunity to do a PhD there. And so I said, okay, good, it could be nice. So I applied, I sent my CV to Martine Labbé, motivation letter, and I had an interview. And so after that, I started my PhD in OR. So
yeah, that's fantastic. Talking about interview, I've just had this nice conversation with Martine a few weeks ago. Yeah, lovely person. And how was working with her, by the way?
Oh, it was really interesting. I learned a lot with Martine, of course, because so for me, OR was more or less new. Okay, so I learned a lot with her about combinatorial optimization. She gave some lessons for the PhD students. Of course, there was a good team of PhD students that time in Brussels. So good atmosphere and a lot of exchange, and so it was really nice from a scientific point of view, because I learned a lot with Martine, and also from so social point of view, because of the atmosphere, the exchange with all the students, the exchange with Martine and postdoc, and it was really, really nice.
Yeah.
And I can confess that really sometimes when I am with my PhD students, I say, oh yeah, I remember Martine was doing that with me. And also she at some point she told me that when you are a PhD student, you need to take time to read all the papers, to attend some seminars, because after that you have less and less time for your research, because you are involved in several projects with several students, and it's much more complicated to take time for you. And I say, oh yes, but I am busy with my PhD. I have a lot of things to do, and sometimes I have no time to attend other seminars. But she was right. It's important to take time when you are a student, because it's some way easier.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I always encourage my own students to take interest in their colleagues' work. I mean, they should kind of have a basic idea of what they're doing, because who knows, in the future you might be in a situation that you have to make use of the knowledge that your friend or colleague acquired doing their research, and also the culture-wise is also very important, to have an idea of what's going on, not only in the lab that you work, but also abroad and all over the world, at least the trending topics, and what are the main algorithms or models for those class of problems that you were studying, and so on. So I think that's very important.
Yeah, it's really important. And also I was a little lucky in some sense, because Martine is well known, and so a lot of professors were visiting her, and so we had the opportunity to meet them, to discuss with them, and it's really a good opportunity for PhD students to meet other professors from international professors. So it's really important.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Totally
And
agree.
also she gave us also the opportunity to attend some conference, to participate to some conference, and to present our work. And it's really nice of her too. And again, I try to do that with my PhD students now, to give them the opportunity to present their work, to meet people in conference, to do some networking, and as Martine did with me and with other students. So it's really nice.
Yeah. The PhD is an important point, like it's a turning point for the the career of any researcher, because it's not only about publishing papers, but it's also about getting to know people and things like that. So yeah, I understand totally. But what was your PhD research about?
So my PhD students was about the study of equilibrium problems, traffic equilibrium problems. So I started my PhD on dynamic user equilibrium problems. So it was really a topic, really fashion topic at that time. A lot of people started to work on that problems. In fact, it was to alleviate the congestion into the cities. So the goal was to determine the best departure time and path of the users in a city network, in order to decrease the travel time of each user individually. So it was a user equilibrium problem. So I started on that topic, to work on that topic, and after that, so I had the opportunity to work on another type of equilibrium problems, Stackelberg equilibrium problems, in bilevel programs. So it was related to the study of equilibrium problems for transportation.
Right. So all of this was done during the early 90s.
Yeah, yeah.
Right. Okay. As you said, it was during your PhD that you went to Montreal, and in fact, apparently, it was your first trip overseas, and that changed your life in several aspects.
Yeah. It was my first trip overseas, so it was a good adventure. It was in March, and I remember when I arrived in Montreal, the day before there was a snowstorm. So when I arrived, a lot of snow everywhere. And I met there three important persons in my life. So first Patrice Marcotte and Gilles Savard, and they were important for me because they help. So I work with them on Bilevel programming, so I learned a lot with them. From a scientific point of view, they gave me a lot of opportunity there to work on a very interesting topic, and also I was a member of that time it was a CRT, now it's a CRLT. So it was really a nice place to meet a lot of people from different domain. And from a personal point of view, I also met my husband in Montreal. So it was really important.
Yeah, and he's a quite known person in our field, right?
Yes, he's also working in operation research, and his name is Frédéric Semet.
Yes, I
But
was.
at that time, he was a postdoc when I was a student.
Yeah, I had the chance to meet him. Yeah, nice. So you also met other people there in Montreal, like for example the Michel Gendreau and
Yeah. In fact, during my PhD thesis, so I had the opportunity to work with Michel Gendreau on for the dynamic user equilibrium problem. Okay. And so, of course, another part of my PhD was on Bilevel programming. So I was working on that topic with Patrice Marcotte, Gilles Savard, and Martine, again, in Belgium. And also, finally, I had the opportunity to work with Gilbert Laporte because in Belgium, so when you are doing a PhD thesis, so you are your main topic, okay, and then you need to find an interesting result on another subject. And for that, I had the opportunity to work on covering problem with Gilbert Laporte. So nice. Yeah, it was really nice.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, I know.
And I learned a lot from all these people. So I really learned a lot.
Yeah. I mean, you mentioned so many great names, and your husband, of course, too.
Yeah.
So yeah. That should have been a really, really good experience for you. And once you got your PhD degree, you went again to Montreal for a postdoc, right?
Yeah. Because in fact, during my PhD degree, at the beginning, I got some funding from the French Agency for Research in Belgium. So to spend first time 2 months, and then after that I went back there for 2 months again, and so on. And at the end of my PhD, so I spent the last 6 months of my PhD in Montreal, and I made a postdoc there. And it was my first experience in teaching, also in Montreal. So it was a good experience because sometimes, in Canada, sometimes people are taking their lessons when they are older. Okay, they stop the studies, they are working and go back to the university. And so I remember I was teaching to the mother of 2 children, and she came to my office with the children, and she was asking me questions, and I was really young at that time, so it was really strange. But it was a good experience because after your lessons, the students are giving some report about the courses, what they liked, what they disliked. And globally it was okay. And I took also their comments. Really, I took them as for the future, okay. And now I pay attention. I pay attention after that to to answer to several students and not only to a few of them. Okay, so
Yeah,
just
yeah.
like that.
Yeah, it is a learning process, and you made use of it as you demonstrated throughout your career. I mean, you try to take the best of each experience. So that's really important and inspiring. Did you struggle with the Quebecois accent?
Sometimes, okay, sometimes it's not easy. Okay, you get used to it, but sometimes it's not easy. Okay, it depends on some person. So globally in Montreal it was okay, but when you are visiting Quebec and go to the north, sometimes it's not that easy to understand. Okay.
Uh-huh. Yeah,
Yeah,
but you speak several languages, right?
yeah, I speak so French, English, of course, and also I learned some Italian. Okay,
Flemish too.
and I would like to learn Spanish if I had more time. I should take more time, but because now I am working with Chilean people, and when I am visiting them, it's difficult without Spanish. Okay,
Uh-huh.
of course, when you are working, it's always easy, but when you are in the city and you are looking for something, not speaking Spanish, it's a problem. In fact, it's what I learned Italian because I like to go to Italy. So I'm also working with people in Torino, and so when I go there, I like to speak Italian with people when I am going to the shop to ask for different things. So it's better to speak Italian. So I like, and when I was younger, I also learned some Flemish, but I still can understand, but it's much more complicated now to speak. I should take more lessons again to speak because, but you know, I'm living in Lille, and Lille is in France, but not far from the Flemish-speaking part of Belgium. So, in sometimes in Lille, there are people speaking a little bit of Flemish sometimes.
Ah, that's nice. Um, you made contact with several important companies like Air France, SNCF, Air Canada, and Air France even offered you a job. But ultimately, you went to Valenciennes in 1998, right?
Yeah, in fact, during my PhD thesis, I worked on bilevel programming and more specifically on bilevel problems for pricing problems, so on road transportation. So, in fact, Martine, Patrice, and Gilles started to work on that topic just a few years before. And I continue to work on that project, but to design some efficient algorithm to solve bilevel programs or pricing problems on networks. And when we gave some talk in conferences, so companies were interested. So it was in Montreal. So of course, Air Canada was interested in what we were doing because the type of problems of models we were designing were new and were able to integrate the behavior of customers into the pricing decision-making process. And so they found that very interesting, and we had several meetings with them. Also, the SNCF was also interested by because at that time there were no yield management or revenue management for the rail industry. Okay, it was only for the airline industry, and the rail industry was saying, okay, so maybe we could change our way to price, or way to define the price of the railway tickets, because also it's the beginning of the high-speed train in France. It was there were more and more high-speed trains in France, so they were starting to think differently. And you are right, Air France was also interested, but Air France, the politic of Air France was to develop all the software by themselves and not to have project with universities and so on. They want to design everything by themselves. And they offered me a position after my PhD thesis, but I decided not to take it because I prefer to stay in the academic environment. Okay, and I don't regret my choice. Okay, because now I still have the opportunity to work with companies and I can work on different projects and so on. But it's true that, but in fact, the contact I had with the companies was important for me because I told you that I was always interested by solving problems. Okay, so it was interesting because you start from real life problems and you model them and try to solve them. So I like that, the interaction with companies and because you learn a lot, even from a theoretical point of view, because you have some particular structures in the model, and also you have some constraints about the time you have to solve the problems and so on. So I think starting from applied problems and then going to theory is an interesting path. During my PhD, I did the other way. Okay, from a theoretical part, I went to companies. So to go both ways, interesting. Okay, and I can't. I started to do that during my PhD, and I continue to do that now in my research.
Yes, we'll talk about that later. You were maître de conférence, right? For about 10 years or so in Lille.
In Valenciennes, yeah.
Yeah, in Valenciennes, but you were living in Lille.
Yeah, I was living in Lille, and Valenciennes is a city not far from Lille, 50 kilometers from Lille. And then it was because at that time there were a lot of people working in transportation in Valenciennes, so that's why I got the position there. And also Valenciennes was not too far from my parents' home. Okay, important also. Yeah. And also, so I say, okay, there is Valenciennes, there are Lille. Okay, it's not too far from Paris. Also, to travel, it's easy. Not too far from Brussels. It's well located, and so I had my position for 10 years in Valenciennes as a maître de conférence. So I had to teach and research, to do research.
You had your first son in 2006. How did you manage to keep productive after this very important event?
Oh, it was not easy because I was traveling every day, so it was not easy. But I succeeded because I try to be well organized. Okay. Also, my husband helped me. Okay, of course, because as a researcher, you need to sometimes to attend conferences and to travel. So with a small boy, it's not always easy. But I succeeded to do it, and I think it's really important. It was important for me, okay, but it was also, when I got my sons, it's really important, and I really appreciate it. I still appreciate to play with him. Okay, it's different now, but when he was young, I really took time to play with him. So I tried to be well organized, to spend time for my job, for my work, and also to take some time, even not too much time, maybe 30 minutes, but with my son, okay, fully with my son.
You had a daughter a few years later.
Yeah, a few years. But when I had my daughter, I moved to Lille, so it was easier. Okay, I got my position in Lille, and it was easier because two children is a lot of work. Okay, but
as you said, you spent about 10 years working in Valenciennes, and then you left and joined the INRIA research team in Lille. What made you take that decision?
In fact, when I was maître de conférence in Valenciennes, I had the opportunity to have during 2 years to be able to only do research and not to teach. Okay, I got some funding, special funding to do that. Okay, so the university had fundings to pay for people to give the lessons. Okay, I had to give. And so for me, it was really nice. I enjoyed that time because I was involved in several projects with several PhD students, with also companies. At that time, I was working with France Télécom, no Orange, okay. And I was involved also on other projects. And finally, I realized that I had not enough time to manage all my projects. So I tried to get a full-time research position at INRIA, and I succeeded. So I moved to INRIA at that time. It was, and no, I still can teach if I want a little bit, okay. But just I decide the number of hours I want to teach, the level where I would like to teach. It's not the same, okay, and because when you are maître de conférence, you need to teach a given amount of hours. Now I am a full-time researcher, so I really enjoy it.
So you've been working at INRIA for over 10 years now. You joined in 2009 or something like that. 2000. Yeah. You have a leadership position at INRIA. I wonder, what do you consider more difficult, solving optimization problems or managing people?
I think it's managing people, even if it's okay. We have a really good team, good atmosphere, and with permanent person and students, it's really nice. But you, as a scientist, you are used to solve problems and mathematics and so on. But to manage people, you are learning from experience to experience, okay? And so it's not always easy to. You need to, when you take a decision. You need to pay attention to take the good decision with respect to everybody. For equity reasons, I try to for balance a lot of things between people, and it's not always easy. Sometimes it takes time, and it takes some energy also, and for the team it's important that we have some times together to have some times to exchange about science, sometimes to eat together, to exchange, and not always come to your office and work and go back home. No, it's not the life of a team, okay? So I try to. So other people help me, of course. I cannot do everything myself, but I try to give some rhythm, okay, and to involve people in the organization, and I think it's a good success. So it's people seems to be happy, okay. So
yeah, a budget allocation should be really
budget
hard.
allocations, okay, yeah. It's but there I try to manage it, and in order that everybody got the same opportunities, at least. Students, and it's also students, postdoc, and also permanent. And
all right.
I try to give.
So let's talk about your current research work. Can you describe your very interesting work involving bilevel optimization and energy?
It's really an important topic nowadays. In fact, bilevel problems are equilibrium problems involving two agents, two decision agents. One is the leader, okay, and one is the follower. So the leader, it's easier to explain it on a pricing problem, and then after that I will consider the application in the energy field. So when you are considering a pricing problem, you have a leader who wants to determine prices, okay? And he wants to maximize the revenue generally, okay? So the revenue is the maximize of the prices and the demand. And generally the demand is obtained by solving by classical demand functions, okay? Obtained by historical data. But with bilevel programs, in fact, the demand is obtained by solving another optimization problem, so which represents the behavior of the customers, and the customers want to maximize their utility. So from a mathematical point of view, so in your optimization programs, in the constraints, you have another optimization problem. So you have two levels, okay? And you have, in fact, the decision of the leaders influences the decision of the followers. Okay, so it's really important in bilevel programming. So, in fact, it's already to Stackelberg equilibrium problem, and it can be seen also as equilibrium problems, but when the demand is obtained by solving another optimization problem. So that's general scheme of bilevel programs. And in the energy field now, in fact, nowadays, you know that a lot of things are changing because people want to reduce the production of nuclear energy, electricity, okay, and also to favor the renewable energy production. But renewable energy means that you don't know in advance, okay, the quantity which will be produced, okay, a long time in advance. So, in fact, before the problem in the energy field was to determine the quantity to produce, the minimum cost to satisfy the demand. And now it's the contrary. No, you need to adapt the demand to the quantity which is produced by renewable energy. And so the people need to change their habits, okay? And to incentivize people to change their habits, one important point is to change the tariffs, okay? To define the tariffs, dynamic tariffs, so changing from the hour of the day, and in order that people change their habits and try to consume where it's cheaper, okay, and so not to consume during the peak when it's really expensive to consume. So it can be seen as a bilevel programs because you want to determine the prices of electricity, the dynamic prices, in order to generate revenue, but also to smooth out the demand over time, and taking into account the behavior of the customers. And of course, it's realistic nowadays because people have smart meters at home. And so it can be with smart meters, you can decide in advance, okay, for example, for heating, you want to have that your flat be heated between 20 and 22 Celsius degrees, okay. But depending on the price of electricity, the smart meter can adapt the temperature depending on the price and so on. So it's automatic, okay, because you won't be behind your meter and say, okay, so it's not expensive, I can consume. No, it's okay, it's not realistic.
Uh-huh.
So, but and nowadays it's really important in the energy field.
Right, fascinating. Yeah. So you are very active in the bilevel optimization community. For instance, you have been involved in the organization of international workshops on the topic. Tell me more about that.
In fact, it's really important for me because I remember when I was a PhD student, when I presented my work in bilevel programming, I was in session with people knowing nothing about bilevel programming. So it took me half of the presentation to explain what was a bilevel programs. And now more and more people are working in that field. I think that it's because people now see the application opportunities of bilevel programs. And now more and more people are working on that topic to design some efficient algorithm, because you need to rely on the structure of the program to design efficient solution algorithm. And it's really nice. And yes, it's true. In fact, the first conference on bilevel programming was organized in Mexico, and after that, I was volunteer to organize a second one in Lille, and I think it was a success. There were more than 100 persons. In fact, we first organized a school for students during 2 days, and after that there were a workshop on 3 days. And now the next workshop, in fact, was planned to be organized 1 year and a half ago in Chile, but because of the COVID, it was not organized at that time, because we want to organize it in person and not by video, because it's important to give the opportunity to people to exchange, for the students, because there are a lot of students working in that topic, so to have the opportunity to talk together with professors between themselves and so on. And so we hope to organize the next event maybe next year. Okay,
Nice.
We would like to do it.
Yeah. You mentioned you had this contact with companies during your PhD, and in the context of bilevel optimization. So can you mention some cases in which you really saw the use of bilevel optimization put into practice?
Yes, in fact, was as I mentioned to you before, during my PhD or my postdoc, I don't remember exactly. So we had contact with the SNCF, and we had, in fact, I was in Valenciennes at that time, and we had some contracts, industrial contracts with SNCF. But we were working in a team, so there were Patrice Marcotte, Gilles Savard, Jean-Philippe Côté, and other PhD students were involved in Montreal. I was in Valenciennes, and Martine was in Brussels, so it was a team at that time. And we were working on project, so a new project for the SNCF. So they wanted to revise the pricing of for the TGV. Okay. But it was not that easy at that time, because it was really new for them. They needed to change their mind, because at that time the price was related to the number of kilometers you were traveling. But with dynamic pricing and revenue management, it was not the case anymore. And so they found that interesting, but the analysts, in charge of different connections, were a little bit reluctant to change their habits. And in fact, after that, Thalys, so in charge of the TGV between France and Belgium, decided to try, and or model or results, They say, we could try what you offer and what you propose, and we see what happens. And after that, in fact, we created a company, until the name is Expressio, based in Montreal. And so the goal, so the main application field is still the railway. And so we were solving real life problems with real data. And I remember that time, so the code was in Montreal, because the company was created in Montreal because of legal issues, and it was easier, really easier. and so the data were transferred from Belgium to Montreal. We were solving the problem, send the results to Belgium, and they were applying what our model was offering to as prices. And finally they say, okay, good. Sometimes they say, oh, it's really strange, but they decided to try, and it was better because there were a lot of interaction, global interaction, and that the model could anticipate, but not analyst in charge of several connections. So, and it's a nice story, and I think I will. It's really important.
Yeah, it should have been very gratifying. It should have been very gratifying for you.
Yeah.
So, in your opinion, what are the most promising research opportunities when it comes to bilevel optimization nowadays?
So even if a lot of people are working on that field, there are still a lot of things to do. Okay. I think there are two important points. So the first one is related to uncertainty, because in a lot of applications you have uncertainty in your data, uncertainty when you want to model some behavior of people like customers. Okay. So in fact, I think you have a lot of things to do about in stochastic bilevel programming. Or what could be nice also is to try to integrate some learning approach into bilevel programming when you want to represent some behavior of customers. Okay, so there is some research trend in that field. Okay, a lot of things to do there. And the other part is related to bilevel programs where the second level is NP-hard, okay, and for example, when you have integer variables and so on, an NP-hard problem, and there are some general methods, but if you want to solve real-life problems, you need to be more clever and to exploit the structure of the problem in order to design some good structure, because otherwise it's really really complicated.
If someone wants to start studying bilevel optimization, what do you recommend? I know it might be interesting to know a bit of nonlinear programming too, like KKT conditions and things like that. But overall, regarding both exact and heuristic methods, what do you suggest for someone to start studying bilevel optimization?
Okay, so in fact, the KKT is good in the classical way to solve bilevel programs, at least when you can. Okay, is when you for fixed leader decision, your second level problem is convex. Okay. So you can replace it by KKT conditions. You have a single level optimization problem with non-linearities, of course. And so you can try to linearize them. And after that, you have combinatorial optimization. Okay. And so there you need to be clever, try to explore the structure, to define some valid inequalities. So when you are linearizing the terms, sometimes we have some constants that you need to define, and also if you want some good bonds, you need to explore the structure of the problem. So it's a mixture. Okay, so you need to have good knowledge in non-linear optimization, but also in combinatorial optimization. So.
And what about heuristics? What is promising?
But the heuristics, in fact, what we are developing is more math heuristics. Okay, so we start with an exact method, and or we try to exploit the structure of for example, of the objective function of the leader. Of the size almost concave, or if you want to solve a maximization problem. And so you start from the the maths, okay, the properties of the problem, and then you try to design a heuristic based on that. Okay, so it's what we are doing nowadays.
Yeah, right. It takes a while until you get really knowledgeable about the field. I mean, to acquire enough knowledge to contribute, because already learning about combinatorial optimization methods and theory and practice is already hard. And then you have to also be aware of the continuous optimization part, and then try to put everything together and find a good solution. Trying to explore the characteristics of the problem. So it's really tough and challenging. Yeah. So we talked about Martine earlier, and she was here as a guest recently, and she expressed her concern about the use of impact factor in some situations. What is the policy of your group in INRIA? Do you take this into account when hiring people, for example?
No, in fact, in INRIA, impact factor is really dangerous. Okay, in INRIA, in fact, the policy that when you hire a new researcher is not to take into account impact factor. Okay. So the application file is quite long because the candidates need to select 5 works they want to develop, to present, and also to select a given number of papers. And after that, the people of the commission read the papers. So they have an idea about the quality of the research produced in the paper, and not only the impact factor of the journal and so on. So I think, so I don't say that impact factors are bad, okay, but you need to be careful and not to consider them as a single rule, okay, as some people are doing. Okay, so because sometimes you can miss good research if you only consider impact factor.
And also some areas are more likely to have more papers cited than others, and if you work in a relatively small community. So for example, in bilevel optimization, now you have an increasing amount of people working on the topic, but a few years ago you have a limited community, and then so less citations will be going on. And as you said, it might be a disadvantage, and therefore people might be interested in trying to look for what is more trendy and what may yield more citations, and derive their work based on that, and not actually following what they believe is interesting, relevant. And ultimately you have to find a job, and it's natural for students, for example, to be concerned about that and the journals that they want to publish. So what are your views on this?
But you know, in fact, when we want to hire a researcher, we pay attention to the scientific work, and also to the fact that he's publishing, depending on also if it's really young research or he has made several postdoc, if he's publishing with different person, if he has papers with a lot of co-authors or not, you see, and we pay attention to that type of thing. And I think it's really important also. It's less it's because impact factor is really a figure, and sometimes it does not represent the true things. Okay, so you need to be careful.
So you introduce qualitative aspects in your analysis to try to compensate for the somewhat misleading information that an impact factor can give about some research. I mean, the guy is publishing a lot of papers in good journals, but with a lot of co-authors and things like that, right? So Luce, you were definitely a role model in our field, especially for the girls. I usually ask the female guests to make some comments about, gender issue and so on. Do you have anything to add on this matter?
So I have several things to say to girls. So first, start to study science. Okay, it's really nice to study science. It's you can have a lot of fun there, and it's not true that science is only for boy and literature is for girl, like it was thought before. And then when you start to study science, of course, continue, okay? Don't feel too shy. And because what we see, because operation research in France is in computer science, and we see some girls starting their career in computer science, but after that, they stay maître de conférence, for example, and they are not becoming professor, or if they start in research as chargé de recherche, and then they are not beginning senior researcher like I am, because there is a kind of self-censorship. Okay, so they need to be self-confident, and also it's possible because there is people are thinking that it's not possible to have a family, a job taking a lot of time and can give a lot of attention. Okay, but it's not true. Of course, it's not easy, but you can succeed. Okay, I think there are several women succeed in that field. Okay, with a family, with some managing positions, with a lot of also doing good research, okay, with internationally renowned, and I think it's possible to do it, okay. And also maybe I would like to say that I need to thank my husband also for the help he gave me, because it's important also that it's in a couple that everybody, each member of the couple gives the opportunity to the other to have to follow his career, okay. And because we see in a lot of couples that the man has succeeded in his career and the woman sometimes stops to work because she's moving with her husband, it's not always easy. So I think it's really an important point too. Okay, so
to compromise.
But
right.
First, the young girls need to be self-confident and try to learn some science, because not in mathematics but in computer science, I think that the girls have a bad view of computer science because they see people on computers doing some code and not really interesting and not talking to each other, very introverted people working with a computer, but it's not true, it's not life. Okay, so and I think the movies are giving this type of view of the profession, but it's not true. Okay, so it's really important that the women know that computer science can be used to solve all the problems in different
areas,
different domains, for example in biology, economy. Okay, so you can start by studying computer science and then apply it in other topics. So it's important.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I couldn't agree more. And I thank you for these words. I think it's very important, especially for the young ladies that are listening to this conversation, so they can be really inspired by this motivational words that you just provided. So Luce, it was a great pleasure to talk to you. I'm so grateful for your time. I know you're super busy, and I had a lot of fun. Thank you so much. Merci beaucoup.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
So yeah, so now you owe me a visit in João Pessoa. When you're flying to Chile, you can make a stopover and stay with us if you are interested. And it would be a pleasure to host you. Also, it would be nice if I could visit you anytime in the next years in France.
Yeah, of course, you are always welcome. And if you are in France, in Paris, it's quite easy even for one day, okay, or 2 days, and we can have a dinner together. And of course, if I have the opportunity to visit you, I will take it.
Yeah.
Okay. So,
Yeah.
and maybe we'll have the opportunity to work together.
That will be perfect, even better. All right, Luce.
Okay.
Take care. See you soon. Ciao.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.